Inspiration, clarity, confidence, and wholehearted business strategy. Welcome to Your Next Chapter, the podcast especially for women in their 40s and beyond who know that business and personal development go hand in hand. Tune in each week for marketing, mindset, and personal growth strategies, along with inspiring stories from women around the world who are creating new businesses and lives that are personally fulfilling and financially rewarding. If you're looking to create a business and life you love, you're in great company. Let's find out what will unfold in your next chapter. I'm your host, Angela Raspass, and I'm so delighted that you're here. Well, hey there, this is Angela Raspass, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Next Chapter podcast. I really appreciate you spending time here with me today. Now, today I do have a very special guest to introduce you to. It's Maria Davis, who is a medical intuitive and a spiritual mentor, and also a very good friend. Now, what I found in this next chapter journey, and one of the reasons I wanted to introduce Maria and her approach to you, her very gentle but active approach, is that I've seen many women who are moving into their next chapter to start to open up to the concept of spirituality and energy, often referred to as source energy. We really start to often tap into something bigger than just ourselves. Now, Maria has some unique signature experiences. Her spiritual mentoring program is called Lightness to Enlightenment, and she also has another program called Energetic Boundaries, and she really helps women step into their own unique spiritual practices and really light up your soul. But she's also immensely practical in the way that she brings that spiritual energy into making things happen in her own life. And this is what I am in awe of, I must tell you. Now, this episode is all about dreaming big. It's about taking that next chapter dream that's in your heart, in your business, in your life, and bringing it to life. Now, with Maria, this intention happened this year when she decided to run the New York Marathon, and did just last month in November. Now, I'm in awe of anyone that can run that darn far, but the particular philosophy that Maria brought to bringing that dream to life is what we're talking about today, and how it is absolutely the same type of focus that you can bring into your next chapter business. Dream, believe, achieve are the 3 points that Maria talks to us about, and it's a really juicy and open-hearted conversation. And yes, there is a download, an exercise associated with this particular episode, which I really encourage you to download and complete. It's your own permission statement to bring you into alignment and to help you move forward and claim your own big dream. So you just go to angelaraspass.com/4 download. That's the number 4 and the word download. So if you're going for a walk in the car, wherever you happen to be whilst listening to this episode, not a problem. Once you get back in front of your computer, then go in and grab that download. I really encourage you, and I have no doubt you'll be inspired to take that action when you've listened to this conversation that Maria and I have. So let's leap straight in, shall we? Well, Maria, I am so delighted that you're here today and that we're having this wholehearted conversation. I've been looking forward to it all week, and I really appreciate the time that you've taken to be with me here today.
Hi, Angela, and thank you so much. I'm so excited to be sharing the story that I'm going to share. So, yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness, and it is such a story. Now, you and I have been friends and colleagues for quite some time, but as I've said in the introduction to this episode, what you have dreamed, believed, and achieved just lately is quite phenomenal. Our own next chapters, whatever it is that we're wanting to achieve in business and life, we can turn ourselves into things that we did not think was possible before if we have that philosophy and that really strong belief behind us. And that particular philosophy of yours, with those 3 steps, dream, believe, achieve, took you from the suburbs of Melbourne to might as well call it the big smoke, the big apple, and crossing that finish line in the New York Marathon. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, which in and itself just blows my mind. I would really love you to just give us, from your heart, what was it like to actually create such a big dream and then step into it?
Oh, wow, Angela, you gave me goosebumps when you talked about it. And it really is a story of dreaming and dreaming, believing, and then achieving at 3 different stages of the process. And for me, the dream was kept alive. So it was like I was getting nudged to go running. I was getting the nudge to continue my journey into being fit and healthy. I was getting that nudge, and the dream, it was like, but can I do it? The belief came in, can I do it? It was like, oh my goodness. But committing to the New York Marathon this year was actually that nudge, that commitment that I needed. And then the belief came up. It was like, oh my goodness, can I do it? Then of course, it's like, okay, so what do I need to do? So then what do I need to do to achieve it? So 3 things came out of it. One was I needed to be consistent with my efforts. I needed to have clarity and focus about what I was achieving. What was the goal? What was the soul calling that made me want to go out there? And that took a bit of digging. And then how am I going to achieve it? What was the completion? And part of that started with, it was so funny. It started with an accountability. I posted it on Facebook. It was like, I can't believe it, but I'm going to do the New York Marathon. And I'm like, my goodness, oh my goodness, that's it. It's accountable. I'm doing it. So I got in. I was one of, I'm very lucky to get in, and I really enjoyed that, just that presence of getting into the New York Marathon. You know, thousands and thousands apply, and I got in. And then every time I went out, I took a selfie. And that was like, I questioned myself on these selfies, and it's like, why am I taking a selfie? Am I being pretentious? What am I, oh my goodness, who wants to see, and blah, blah, blah. But then I worked out, and a good friend of mine says reverse gap, and I took that in heart, and I go, you know what, this is a pictorial evidence of where I've come from to where I'm going. So now when I put a collage of all the selfies during the year, and it blew my mind. It just blew my mind. The pictorial evidence is something everyone should maybe look to do, because we are amazing creatures. When we're focused, when we have clarity, we can do anything. So that was a big, big motivation. It was so good.
I remember following your journey, the selfies, whenever you were out there on a training run, whether it was an absolutely crappy day or whether it was a really hot day or anything in between, that commitment came through. And I think one of the most beautiful parts of this particular journey of yours was the inspiration that it gave to a lot of other people as well. And I think we forget that, and it's such an important part of a next chapter journey, whether that be in business or life. On one hand, that pictorial evidence, as you explained it, gave you the fuel when you were reverse gapping yourself and looking at how far you'd come. But then the other side is that it actually provided that inspiration for other people who were following you and thought, well, you know what? If Maria can do this thing, her big goal, why the heck can't I just try and tackle mine as well? I know that's how I felt as I was watching your progress, and I have absolutely no doubt that that was happening for other people as well. Did you get some feedback to that end?
So, Angela, that inspired me even more. It was like, oh my goodness, I know that I'm doing, and the clarity was that I was doing it for myself, but if I could inspire someone to do it for themselves, then I know that if I can achieve it, you can achieve it, anyone can achieve it. So what I kept getting along the way is little trinkets, like I'd possibly get 1 comment or 2 comments, but by the end, when I've crossed that finish line, the amount of comments that were on my page actually overwhelmed me a little bit, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is happening. This is inspiration. This is worldwide inspiration. And I say that from a heartfelt place, that whenever I would go out, or in the back end of any social media, I'd get messages that people were starting to train, that people were starting to look after their bodies, that people were inspired by my journey. And that in itself just fueled my compassion for self, and also just allowed gave me permission to take those next steps. It's just one step after another. We can all do it.
And that's a big part there, just picking up on that word that you said, because as with all the episodes in the Next Chapter podcast, we provide a download to help reinforce what we learn and what we hear about on the episode. And permission is a real big part of that dream, isn't it? Like, you can create the dream, you can decide, or you can be feeling strongly, this is the thing that I want to do. But sometimes we hold back, even though the message within is so strong. I want to run the New York Marathon. I want to start this business. I want to leave this job. I want to, whatever it is that's calling you inside. But we can get blocked. And that giving ourselves permission to actually dream, to actually then start to take the steps. You provided us with a permission statement, an exercise that we can take ourselves through to try and clear some of those limiting beliefs that might stop you from embracing the dream. Can you talk to us about what is a permission statement and why it's important and how we actually create it and do it?
A permission statement validates your dream. It validates who you are, who you can be, and who you will be. So by creating your own permission statement, by looking at what's holding you back and then looking at what your dream is and verbalizing or enunciating it to the world or giving yourself permission, however you want to portray it or present it to yourself, just present it articulately, intellectually, but more importantly, embodying the permission. And I think that's the part that's missing a lot. It's like we're in our head all the time, but when you embody the success that you can have from a gut, heart, and brain aspect aligned with all your energetic beings, it's like, oh my goodness, you can do anything. And that's what it's like, it's one step at a time. What's the next step? What's your next chapter? What's your next step? And they can be small steps. My edict is small steps create the pathway to big results. And I sort of coined that phrase about 12 years ago when I started my business journey. And it's like, it's so true. Everything we do requires small, consistent steps to get to your goal.
That's a really good reminder. I think sometimes we can project ourselves, I call it past pondering or future tripping. We either project ourselves so far into the future of what it is that we want to achieve, and it seems so far away. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm looking at where I am now and where I want to be, and it's so far. Like thinking of yourself, when you went for that first jog in Melbourne, and that was months and months and months away from when you were going to cross that finish line over in New York. If you just looked at the size of the journey, it would be overwhelming. But breaking it down into small steps, and I want everyone who's listening to really feel into that. It doesn't matter what your goal is. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you run a New York Marathon? One jog at a time. How do you start a business? Putting one idea in front of the other as you move forward. So I liked the way you were talking about embodying it. Can you just dig a little deeper there for me? What you mean by that expression, to embody success, to embody your dream?
Well, I think it's not enough just to think yourself successful. I think you need to take, for me, it was taking the steps that needed to be taken to actually get to feel success as well. So every time, so I started the journey 12 months before the marathon actually took place. So, and in that 12 months, the beginning, I wasn't running. I was walk running. I was more walking than I was running. It took me until about August of this year to be able to run consistently for 5 kilometres. Now, the marathon is 42.2 kilometres. Now, if I didn't know that my plan was on track and that I didn't embed with each selfie, there was a success embedded with me. I had a visual reminder, yes, tick, I did it. With each step, it's like a reflection of the steps. And it was really acknowledging the journey from where I was to where I was going. So, I missed the point. So what was the question? I was just wanting to really reflect on the steps that it takes. Oh, yes, embodying success. So for me, it's embodying success. Sensationalize your success. Take every sense and go, breathe it in. Yes, I am successful. I first started with mantras, Angela. Now, those mantras were really important for me to start with. I can do this. One of them was, I am running on a cloud. The angels are behind me. I have my spirit guide with me. Come with me. This is fun. And it was not fun at that stage. But just accentuating and saying those really helped me visualize that maybe it is. And you know what happened? In a couple of months of that, it was fun. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this stuff works. It really works. So that was really, it's that cognizant, it's that recognition, it's seeing myself out there, it's smelling myself out, it's really being present to the moment, it's hearing those mantras, it's hearing me say things that are good about myself, it's tasting that success, it's really visualizing that moment on that finish line, and even that start line. Like, I've got a video of the start line, and it's like I'm just smiling the whole way. I was nervous, I was anxious, but I was so happy I was there. But on that finish line, that photo just says everything. I look at that photo, and when you look at photos of yourself, you almost go, oh, I'm not sure that I should have done that. But that photo epitomizes everything I put into the journey, and I'm just so proud of it, which feels pretty cool.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I think you just embodied embodiment right there. To me, what I'm hearing from you, and I know this to be true of my own experiences as well, is the necessity of bringing in emotion. The emotion, if you are, no matter what it is that you are planning on doing, let's just say that it's business success for a moment. Like, you've got a dream, or you've got a vision of a business you want to create, or that you want to change the current business that you have. And if you just have that as a dry goal, a smart goal, without bringing heart into it, then it just doesn't inspire in the same way. I'm a big believer in inspiration pulling us forward rather than motivation pushing us forward. And when you bring that emotion into it, just the way that you're talking about it, and the lift in your voice, and you're back there. So bringing that emotion in. So anyone that has a goal, what is the emotion attached to it? How are you going to feel when you achieve that? How is it going to course through your veins when you actually achieve this thing that you're wanting to achieve? If we bring that into our intention, then that surely is going to inspire us to bigger and better results.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree, Angela. It's like really feeling that. Now, I love the word that you said, intention. It's really setting, and all of my work is about intention. It's setting the intention. And for one of my things that anyone that I work with, or that I want to have a feeling of success. So and quite often we forget to breathe that in. Whatever we do, whatever we experience, there's a feeling of experience and success with it. It's like, yes, whether it be, for me it was running the marathon, but also as a parallel to business, I actually got more successful in my business too. It's the best year I've had, and it's like, it's being authentic, it's being driven, it's being committed, it's being consistently visible, it's having the clarity and focus of what you're offering. For me, I can talk about what I was offering, and the other thing was completion.
And that's actually a really key thing to focus on here, because I've seen it so often. It was one of the questions I definitely wanted to ask you about, was that spillover effect. When you're experiencing confidence and clarity and certainty and achievement in one area of your life, it just seems to spill over into other areas as well. And that's what's happened to you. On the personal level, being able to achieve that massive goal, and then naturally that confidence and that you radiate it from there, and that is very client attractive. So it spills over into the other area of your business as well. And can you see how, as you move forward, that is something that you can share and teach to your own clients as well?
Absolutely. That's what I want to teach people is and guide them to a sense of grace within them. Like however our intention, however we show up in the world, what clarity we have, what beliefs we have, what dreams we have, don't underpin them to validation from the outside. It's validating yourself, being graceful and acknowledging that inner power that we all have. And that's the nudge. It's like the nudge, it doesn't go away. If your soul is calling, that nudge keeps coming up. Bang, 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 and you go, oh my goodness, I can't, oh, scary. Yes, bang, bang. And you take that, break it down. And I love that we can break down, break it down for clients and what can they do next. And my thing is I love philosophy. I just love it, but it doesn't give me action. What can I do next? It reminds me of when I was a Weight Watchers lecturer, and it's like, yeah, but what can I eat? So what can you do uniquely that you can do next? And holding a space that people can see themselves succeed. If they can't see it, you're holding a space for them until they see it themselves. And I certainly had a coach that could see my success before I saw it, and him holding the space for me was absolutely essential until I saw it myself, and that came with experience.
And that's a biggie, isn't it? Like, we often are quite isolated in whatever it is that we are doing. We can have, by isolation, I don't mean you're completely alone, but I mean in terms of sharing these goals and these visions and these dreams that we have, because there is quite often fear there as to how we'll be judged. And, people will go, well, are you crazy trying to do that? Like, why don't you stay on the safe track? Or really, why don't you, let's just take your example for a moment. Why don't you run the Suzanne 10K challenge? Why do you want to go all the way to New York and do the marathon? You can have naysayers around you who can try and contain your dreams. So how important was it for you to have like a surrounding circle of people that shared that same sort of vision of what's possible?
It was really important. It was because there were people that go, why, Maria, tell me why you're doing this. Why? And there was a lot of questions about why, but I had this belief that I could do it, that I would do it, and most of all that I should do it. It was a real personal development journey for me. And for me, it was so interesting what I uncovered along the way is like all these depths that I thought I had dealt with, all these depths of deservedness that last 2 weeks before what happens to the body. It's really interesting. It's psychosomatic. So the body goes into pain intolerance at that stage, and it goes, oh my God, you should be, your subconscious is knocking at you, and all these pain points come into your body, and it's an embodiment of this process that you're about to undertake. But you know full well that it's psychosomatic, and it's just are you ready for the challenge? It's that knock, knock, are you ready for the challenge? Yes, I'm certainly ready. So it was like, for me, it was really important to have at least one person know intrinsically that I could do it, and that was my coach. And everyone else didn't know my journey and didn't know that they were looking from the outside, but with the other person that really believed in you. And then I always believed it, but that last 2 weeks really deservedness came up. And deservedness of actually being there with other full flight runners, deservedness not being the weight that I want to be, deservedness of who do you think you are trying to do this. All of those fear factors came in, but my coach said, you deserve it. I looked at the pictorial evidence that I had, and I had done all the training. I had put in as much as I possibly could. I had turned up consistently, I had visualised it, and on that start line, I deserved to be there, and that was the smile. It was just amazing.
And it's absolutely, I've seen that photo. The smile was sky high and wide. And, coming back to those things that you were just talking about, the questions, the internal questions about deservedness and who am I to think and what makes me think I can do this, all those things that come up. Again, it doesn't matter what the goal is, what the dream is, what the vision is, what the thing is that you're holding in your heart that you want to achieve. This is for everyone who's listening. Those doubts are the same for all of us. No one is immune to doubt at all. But that's where I love the concept of the permission statement that you're providing us with, that is in the download from this episode. Asking yourself, what isn't working right now? What's frustrating you? What is stopping you from being free? And getting really honest there. And then looking back over that and, what's pulling your energy back and getting clear about what that is. And then the third step, deciding what you want instead. And I guess that's really where that very strong visualization and embodiment you were talking about before. You saw yourself on that start line. You saw yourself on that finish line. You saw so many pieces in between that it was going to happen no matter what. So it's a real reassurance to let everybody know that the doubts hit everybody. I mean, there is no way of avoiding them, but it's being, giving yourself permission to dream and then giving yourself those tools so that you can embody that dream and move on, as you've said, past dreaming and into believing it and into actually achieving it by breaking it down into those small steps. It's just so darn important.
Yeah, and it's really, how does success feel in your body? That's one thing. Can we really determine whether it's success or anxiety? Actually, excitement and fear is the same feeling, right? So how does it feel in your body? So let's take that feeling, which is sort of like the philosophy of it, but do something that makes you feel successful, whether it is putting that, let's take the run, whether it is completing a 5K run or whether it is completing that, what you think is so big, or whether it is making that 5-figure month, which actually happened this year as well. So it's like, that's the feeling of success. Philosophy is one thing, but taking action consistently will give you that embodiment of success. And nurturing and nourishing yourself, what does it take for you to feel successful?
It's that self-support, isn't it? And I love that idea of looking for evidence. We talked about the spillover effect just previously, how the success in this area has then spilled over into your business. But the reverse is also true. For you to actually be able to create the success that brings that big goal or that big dream into reality, have a look back at your life. Do some reverse gapping. There are plenty of places where you have evidence that when you've decided that you want to do something, you make it happen. And we forget those. We forget to reverse gap ourselves. And it doesn't have to be that you have evidence that is exactly the same. I mean, in your case, you have run the marathon before a while ago. But the evidence doesn't have to be exactly the same. It's that feeling of success. That's, as you've just so beautifully said, if I can get back in touch with that feeling and I can transfer that feeling into this new goal that I have, that takes me a small step down the pathway. So gather that evidence. I mean, you and I have spoken of this before. I'm a big fan of having a fabulous file. That file where you put all the evidence of when things have gone fabulously for you, so that when you need that pep up, that gives you the future fuel to then pursue that, to pursue that dream. I love that idea of embodying success. What does it feel like for you? What will it take for you to feel successful? And then to support yourself. Give yourself what you need to be successful.
Yeah, it's like, it's that fabulous file. My fabulous file is the collage of all the days that I went out running that, was raining and windswept and hot. I got sunburnt and, but I still was out there and I humanly, bodily did it and felt it and then nourished and nurtured myself so that I could do it again. It's like breathe it in. Take the time to breathe in your success, because conscious prosperity is for us all. It's being conscious to what we can evolve into or what we can embody and move into that prosperity. What does it mean to you? It's unique. It's unique to every soul here. But what I can say is that the content may change for all of us, but the journey is the same. The feelings are the same for us all. And now I understand what collective consciousness means. I understand that we're all one, which is a big one, right? It's like, what do you mean I'm all one? What do you mean? But when we think about the feelings and the limitations or the fear or the love, everyone wants to be happy. What does happiness mean for you? Does it mean more money? Does it mean crossing the finish line? Does it mean having the right people around you? Does it mean love? And ultimately, that's all it means. That is the big thing. It means love. Love of self is the first one.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential, isn't it? It's that whole idea. If you get down to the very basic, you can't take care of others until you've got your own oxygen mask on. Well, to create our success, it has to come from that place of love. And I'm that combination of the wholeheartedness and the strategy. We need both. But you can have all the strategy in the world if you don't have that self-worth, that belief that you can create this thing or you can pursue this vision, then you could strategy yourself up the wazoo. It's not going to do you any good. You have to start from that place. And that's why I'm extremely excited. I don't know when you're listening to this particular episode, my lovely listeners, but I have an event that's happening in Sydney in March in 2016 on the 8th and 9th called Your Next Chapter Business Live. And Maria is one of our gorgeous speakers at this event. As soon as I spoke to her about this whole lead up to running the marathon and really epitomizing that dream, believe, achieve, which I want for everyone in their next chapters. So to have you along there is just an absolute delight as a speaker. So can you give us just a little bit of a sneaky preview? For the ladies who come and join us at the event and are in the audience, what will you be sharing or what will they walk away with when you talk us through your particular segment?
The segment's all about realising your dream. So whatever you come to your next chapter with is like, what is your dream? A lot of us can't even articulate our dreams. It's like, oh my goodness, who am I to dream that? Well, guess what? On that day, you're going to have the steps to actually realise your dream. So enunciate it, believe it, and then some action steps. So I'm going to be doing lots of clearing, decluttering, internal turmoil, cellular debris, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do some juju. Is that what you call it? Juju?
Yep, juju and
but honestly, from a place of experience, evidence, and scientific knowledge, just that you can do it too. So it's embodying success. That's what you walk away with. If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
That's brilliant. Those, the experience you'll be sharing and those steps are absolutely priceless, because as we were just talking about, the strategy, I have a huge belief in strategy, and I'm certainly going to be providing a lot of that at the event, along with some inner critic work, etc. But that concept of embodying the dream, that's, once you've got that, my goodness, the world really does open to you. Your ability to write your next chapter with confidence and certainty, and then to actually go out and take action, you epitomise the ability to do that. So I cannot wait to be able to share your journey with everyone that's at the event. Well, Maria, thank you so much for the time that you've spent and just giving us that little bit of an insight into what is possible when you do give yourself permission. It's been an absolute delight. And may I ask, for our listeners who want to come and connect with you and find out more about you, what's the best way of going about that? Where will they find you online?
Oh, thanks, Angela. It's just been so lovely, and I really want the listeners to know that they can achieve anything they can dream of too. And I believe that with a whole heart. So I'm at mariaheals.com. I've got a Facebook page, Maria Heals. They can connect with me anytime, and I would be honoured to support them on their journey too.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much, my darling, and we'll be talking again soon. And for all of the listeners, in this episode, you'll be able to find on my website under angelaraspass.com, under the podcast drop-down, the download for this particular episode, which will take you through creating your own permission statement so that you can start stepping into that great big next chapter dream that you have. So thanks so much for spending your time with us today, and I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Your Next Chapter podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Pop over to angelaraspass.com to subscribe to the show and leave a review. And whilst you're there, you can also enjoy valuable free resources, including show notes and downloads, along with the Next Chapter community, where you can connect with other wholehearted women on the same journey as you. We'd love to welcome and support you as your next chapter unfolds. See you next time.